Hi, welcome to this episode about the early warning signs of burnout. This is about the thoughts and feelings that tend to show up in somebody who's on the verge of burnout or that they have already burnt out. So this is part 2, and I'm just going to take 4 of the early warning signs so that I can describe them in a little bit more detail and not overwhelm you if you're already feeling rather overwhelmed with feeling full and at your bandwidth. So a big part of burnout in terms of early warning signs is someone not feeling appreciated. Now this can often be externalized, i.e. the person feels unappreciated by others, but there is another side to it where it's also difficult for that person to appreciate themselves, and a good deal of burnout, particularly in the culture in the UK, is that you don't really get very many positives about looking after yourself. So it's better than it was, certainly better than it was a decade ago and 2 decades ago. But there's still a thinly veiled culture of carry on regardless, keep your head down, and that's what you get your positive strokes about, okay? Doing and overdoing and being busy is still way sexier than looking after yourself and self-care. So although there's loads more about self-care, that true deep appreciation of one's stable healthiness is, I think, somewhat disregarded and perhaps not fully understood. So to somebody who is on the verge of burnout or burning out, the lack of appreciation from others is really important, because somebody who is giving their all, and it's the dedicated and committed, right, that tend to burn out. If they're giving their all, but they're getting nothing back at all, nothing that nourishes them, no good feedback, no positive feedback, they don't get the accolade or the money that they feel like they deserve, they can really get worn down quite quickly. So you can often see, or rather hear somebody in burnout saying, nobody cares whether I turn up, nobody cares that I do this. And really, that's coming from somebody who's just overwhelmed already, and they need the appreciation. It's really, really important to them. It's like their medicine that keeps them going. So that's part of the complexity of thoughts and feelings during the initial stages of burnout. And that's difficult. It's difficult to get yourself out of bed in the morning if you feel unappreciated, and you can't truly appreciate, because you don't know what's going on, you can't truly appreciate that you're burning out. You just feel at the end of your tether. So another symptom that people burning out can experience alongside this lack of appreciation is a gut deep feeling, a gut deep dread of every day. Now, sometimes people can feel under-resourced and they're having a difficult time and they just think, I can't face today. And that's a normal part of life. That's an ordinary level of, actually, today I just don't have it in me to do what I'm going to do. And most of the time we just go with it. We go, okay, I do feel that way, but I still get out of bed and I still manage to do what I'm supposed to do today, what it's expected of me, yeah, or what you expect of yourself. But if that gut deep dread of every day starts to pitch up every day, then that begins to be a worry, because that really means that what you're facing every day is not in line to what you can manage. And when those two things are out of kilter, then there's a very good chance that you're going to burn out. And you deserve not to burn out. It's so expensive in so many ways. Once you break down, the burnout trauma is the thing that you end up dealing with, and you don't end up dealing with the stresses that have brought it along. Now, this can be quite perturbing for people, because they're the ones that get up, they've got the drive, they've got the go, they get up and go, and then suddenly they've not got it. And this is very anxiety provoking. So the third symptom today that I'm talking about is anxiety. And I rarely see someone one-to-one who has just one anxiety. There's often a generalized anxiety and they can't quite put their finger on what it is, what's going on. And the reason for that, usually, is there's just too much going on and there isn't anything specific, one thing. Sometimes there is, and that's great. If we can go, right, there's that one thing that's causing you massive difficulty, what can we do? Can we change the shape of it, the amount of times you have to approach it per week, per month, whatever? If we can do that, then great. But often, because that person's already so overwhelmed, there's a generalized anxiety about, who am I don't recognize myself, nobody seems to appreciate me, I dread every day, life's a living nightmare, and that's very anxiety provoking. Because driven people who are committed and dedicated know what they can rely on usually. That's why they do these amazing things, that's why they've got the drive, they know what they're capable of. And then when they're worn down and weakened by too many stressors, that creates anxiety, of course it would. So the other thing that the last symptom that I notice that I'm going to talk about today is that anxiety is compounded by that person looking into themselves and not being able to think clearly. So you can often hear people that are burning out say, oh God, I used to be able to be really sharp in my mind. I used to always have a solution. In fact, I relished a puzzle that I had to find a solution for. I loved the challenge, and now I can't bear challenge. I can't rely on the sharpness of my mind anymore. And again, this goes back to the original symptom in part 1 that I talked about, was I don't recognise myself anymore. And again, that compounds anxiety. Well, who am I if I can't rely on my sharpness of mind? So you can see that this one symptom, one thought and one feeling can roll into another and compound it, exacerbate it, and in itself start creating more overload and more overwhelm. And that's the complexity of burnout. It's so much more than needing a holiday. Right, we need to get away from that. Burnout, breakdown means trauma, and you can't break down gently. That's a fizzling out. Now, burnout trauma is where there is a sudden, shocking rupture to your mental and physical health. So it's really important that we get to understand these complexities as much as we can. Let's just get talking about them. Okay, so that's part 2 of episode 3, which is all about the early warning signs, the thoughts and the feelings. And I'll see you in part 3. If this was good and interesting for you, then do subscribe wherever you're listening, and please do share your experiences. I'm so looking forward to talking with you some more about your experiences, or if you know friends or family that you feel are needing support, then do share these videos and podcasts with them too. See you in part 3.